Okay, the president zeroing on his home state of Florida tonight, the last leg on a hectic day of 5 MAGA rallies in 5 states before 5 more rallies in 4 states tomorrow. So let's bring in tonight's panel to talk about which of those swing states we should watch most closely on Tuesday. Democratic strategist Kevin Walling, Real Clear Politics president Tom Bevan, and Fox News contributor Mark Thiessen. Good to have all of you with us tonight.
Good to be you.
Good to be with you.
Hey, Shannon, good evening.
All right, Tom, I want to start with you because we're all about the polls right now. How can they be so wildly different in a single state? Nationwide, we know there can be a lot of room for error. But when we look at these state by state, how can 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different polling entities see a state so differently?
Well, it's about the pollsters and the assumptions they're going to make on what the electorate looks like. And right now they're using a combination of folks who have already voted, right? And they're looking at past elections and trying to make educated guesses about what the electorate is going to look like, when it's all said and done. We're having record turnout across the country and in all of these battleground states, bringing in new voters. So it's a complicated mix of what's going on. And you sort of have 2 different theories of the case. You have certain pollsters that see this election as sort of a Biden landslide. He's way up double digits in places like Wisconsin, Michigan. But you've also got other pollsters who are seeing this race much, much closer in those Rust Belt states and some of the other battleground states. So we'll find out who's right, when all the votes have been cast and counted. But overall, we've got, I think, 6 battleground states now that are at about 1 point in our Real Clear Politics average. So I think this is going to be very, very close.
Okay, let's talk about Florida, where we're awaiting the president's arrival tonight. I want to give you a little bit of sound from a couple of key Democrats, including one who was on the ticket, about how critical that state is.
I do believe that a path to victory runs through Florida.
If Joe Biden and Kamala Harris win Florida, and we would expect if we win it early in the night, then it is over for President Trump. We are excited about what we are seeing on the ground, but understand me clearly, we are taking absolutely nothing for granted.
All right, Kevin, the numbers have tightened there in the Sunshine State. Are you nervous tonight?
I'm a Democrat, Shannon, as we've talked about. I'm always nervous until those, as Tom said, until those final votes are counted in a state like Florida. But I certainly agree with Congresswoman Val Demings on her assessment of how critical Florida will be. We know from 2000, just how critical Florida was. And looking back at 2016, when Florida turned to President Trump, then candidate Trump, that was really the first nail in the coffin for then Secretary Clinton. That was the wake-up call at the Javits Center that it wasn't heading the way that we thought it was going to be. If Florida is called early either way, I think it's an indication of where this night is headed for sure.
Well, another one of those states where these candidates and their surrogates are spending a ton of time is Pennsylvania. It's also along the eastern coast. It's going to be one of those first states that closes up. So, Mark, how closely will you be watching Pennsylvania, and how critical is it to getting a win? Is it one of those states that either side has to have it to keep moving?
It's very critical, but the thing about Pennsylvania is we may not know on election night because they're not allowed to start counting votes until election day. There's a lot of mail-in votes, and also the Supreme Court. There's a huge fight over whether whether they can continue counting after election day. Some of these ballots that come in, as long as they come in postmarked before the election. Florida, on the other hand, I think is going to be the canary in the coal mine for us going forward, because Florida counts its votes. It starts counting already. They've already started counting the absentee ballots. They count really quickly, and so if Donald Trump wins that, if Donald Trump loses Florida, then he's probably lost the election. If Donald Trump wins Florida by 3 points, by a significant margin, then he's probably going to win Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. If it's like a tight 1 point win like last time, then we're probably going to be litigating this for months.
Yeah.
So I think everybody should look at Florida, because Florida will probably tell us a lot about where Pennsylvania will go.
And just a reminder, since I'm a Florida girl, I have to say this. There are 2 time zones there, so the polls don't close at 7 o'clock in Florida, and it takes us a little bit longer to find out what's going on there, even though it's, it runs along the East Coast. Okay, I want to play something as we're talking about how important Pennsylvania is, that the former vice president said today in Philly. They got some attention. It's coming. It is coming. This is one of those things when you're in Pennsylvania and you're trying to say, I'm one of you, I'm a Scranton guy. This is something you don't want to do. I think we have it.
I know Philadelphia well. I married a Philly girl, by the way. And by the way, I got my Eagles jacket on.
He's actually wearing the University of Delaware Blue Hens jacket. It's just kind of a funny moment. Any of us can do it. But Tom, does that the kind of thing that voters, does it change any minds or sway anybody like, wait, what? He's telling us that he's one of us and he doesn't even know what jacket he has on.
Yeah, it's not quite as bad as John Kerry calling it Lambert Field when he was trying to win Wisconsin, but it's not, it's not great. Look, I don't think it's going to matter in the grand scheme of things, but Pennsylvania is a state that I think is the tipping point state. I mean, whoever wins Pennsylvania is probably going to win this election. That's why both campaigns are fighting so hard for it. And the path to victory for Donald Trump there is simple. He's got to have massive rural turnout. He's got to keep the bleeding to a minimum in the suburbs. And to the extent that he can win minority voters on the margin, African-American voters in Philly, and also Latinos. Don't forget about Latinos in the state of Pennsylvania. He will be able, I think, to pull that out. But right now, the polls suggest he's still got a lot of work to do.
Well, he's going to be there. The former vice president's going to be there. It is going to be in the spotlight and focus these last few hours that we have. Okay, panel, stick around for us. Again, you're watching in just outside the Miami area where the president is going to land in just a little bit for his 5th rally of the day. Trust me, we'll take you there and let you know what's going on. A little salsa band.